Welcome to 3S Designer Homes Guide, and in this episode I am going to share some tips on how to select the best block to accommodate your dream home. I will also explain key considerations while choosing block of land. It isn't always as clear cut as it might seem. The right block for one person might not be the right block for someone else. During your quest to find the perfect block, remember to consider future. A highly functioning floor plan will not only add value to your lifestyle, but it can also determine the value of your home too. It's very important to be mindful of a few considerations like location, setback rules, restrictions, site work, construction cost, zoning, and title type before buying a land. After all, it's a big investment, so why waiting? Let's check it out. Hi, I'm Kamal Sahani, registered building practitioner and an interior designer behind SSS Designer Homes Builder. Through 3S Designer Homes Guide, we help and teach you the right build when it comes to designing, building, and renovating your dream home. So, how to select a block of land? Buying land is not very complicated when you have a right guidance. However, you need to navigate several key considerations. First and foremost, get the right advice. The first question you to ask yourself, what kind of house do you want to build? If you want a large family house with a few extra rooms for a study or for a media or big outdoor backyard, obviously you will require a larger block. For that, you should seek out a real estate person or agent who can guide you through options available and what will best meet your individual needs. Before coming to the next, I must share many homeowners getting in touch with me as they are struggling with the slope block because they did consider price fall due to slope or irregular shape. That isn't a good idea always. Any slope will impact on the design and building cost too. When you buy land with the slope, it requires counters plan and you will need to be aware of any retaining walls need. Landfall can have a big impact on the potential building cost, but does land itself to potentially having a more interesting design. Generally, sloping block will require a custom design rather than off the plan to make the most of your site, and sometimes you should allow additional budget for site preparations too. When it comes to choosing a block other than the price, because price isn't the only factor requiring consideration, there are few others during your own planning like location of your block, size and shape, orientation, especially north direction of your block, services, restrictions, soil and environmental factor, etc. So, first we talk about location because location is an important factor that require careful thought. It will impact the future capital growth of your property. And also check is the block close to attractions such as beach, parks, freeways, train stations and a suitable distance to your work, shop, school, etc. Try to aware of any new or planned infrastructure close by, which is another worth adding to your property to consider. People with kids should obviously look for schools nearby, while those who need public transport should look for the closest train station. How far is it? How's the traffic? Is this road very busy? All this needs to address before buying a block. Likewise, suburb profile overview. How's the demand, investors in it, geographic and some demographic data including price trends and links to neighboring suburbs worth to know. Next, figure out which school zone you want because school zones can have massive impact on the property prices. Schools with a good reputation can often drive up prices as well as rents as more families attempting to get their kids enrolled in those schools. Then comes acceptable transport connections. The travel time is crucial before you set your heart on any one suburb or property. Weighting up the cost saved by being further away versus the time saved by being closer. Potentially, you can save some time for your family. Longer traveling distance can affect your relations with your close friends and family. Just as a proximity to work is important, so too do loved ones. Depending on your lifestyle and the need for support from others, being close to your network of loved ones can definitely impact on quality of life, so shouldn't be dismissed. While the houses might be cheaper further away from your circle of friends or family, you might end up spending more over the long run in both time and money if you are continuously driving driving back and forth between suburbs. Moreover, you can search block in any future development plan as well. Do your research early when deciding between suburbs by calling the local council, checking whether there are significant developments planned for the near future. If you have already started liking few sites, do spend time at potential site because at the end of the day, you can do all the research in the world on a suburb, but nothing is as good as spending time there to get the feel for whether you like it or not. Take a walk down the main strip of shops, visit the local cafes, and even do a shopping at the local supermarket to really get an idea of what it's like to be a local. After location, the next factor to consider carefully is size of the block. The dimensions of your block of land will dramatically affect on your floor plan and the type of house, whether it's single or double story that you are gonna build. If your plan have must-haves and you can't compromise with the space, you might need to consider a slightly larger block. Always remember, different house designs fit different blocks. If you have a larger block, you will likely to have more choices of house that will fit on the block. So before you buy a block, it's important to understand what you want from your house and what will suit the land. Speak to your sales consultant to help ensure you are able to build the home you want to. Do you require site access for caravans, boat or trailer today or in future? Will you want to be put a pool at some stage? Will you be building a single or double story home? How much garden maintenance will you commit to? Once you're clear with your desires and wants, then comes orientation of the block, especially north side of your block. The direction block faces will affect your home design, especially to maximize on energy efficiency. In other words, savings on electricity bills, getting proper natural light and ventilation of the house by considering north sun and south wind aspects. Therefore, with passive solar design principles, living area should be located to the north for the protection in summer and warm in winter. So too other habitable rooms. Another issue would be neighboring two-story homes can create overshadowing, which impact on the advantages of solar passive home design. You can learn more about passive home design in my upcoming episode. Now, if you're satisfied with the orientation of the block, we look at services to the block. The majority of new developments come fully served, such as water, sewer, NBN, and electricity connections to site. But always check exactly what is included in the cost of the block and obtain as much as information as possible. Other very important factor to consider is restrictions on the block. Investigate if there are any planning controls, overlays, covenants, any council restrictions including easements. Easement is that you can't construct on that particular area. I will elaborate it further in few minutes. So these factors govern what and where you can and cannot build. Now here you can ask some questions to your agent or seller is, are there any design restrictions? Because certain lots in a new development will have restrictions on it. For example, only a single story house may be built, or it is a rear load lot, means garage location is fixed at the back side or at the end of the block. Make sure you confirm this with your developer before purchasing. Another question would be, there are any unique setback rules? You can also have a look over R codes like R30, R40, which tells you your front and side setback rules from your lot boundary and from front street. If you're looking to buy a corner block of land, this may have additional setback rules. This is crucial to understand as it may limit the size of your house you can fit on. It is better to discuss this with your builder or contractor before purchase. Now you can also negotiate buying land. Negotiation are a critical aspects of your buying land journey. If there is a shortage of land and land is in high demand, it is likely to reduce your negotiation power. On the other hand, if the market is slower and developers have to fight for deals, it is likely to increase your chances for some level of effective negotiation on price. Once you get an idea of location, size of the block, setback rules, design restrictions, thereafter needs to check if site work requires on the block or not. It also depends soil conditions from site to site. A soil test by an engineer will determine the correct foundation for your new home based on soil type. If the soil is classified to be reactive, additional cost will be charged by your builder, and it is very common. If your dream is to build in a bush setting, means near to nature reserve or closer to parks, then be aware most councils have some conditions placed on homes constructed near to potential fire risk zone, which will increase the cost of your build. And don't forget environment factors. Location of trees on the block is important also. The shadowing of a tree and the ability to construct a home without interfering with its canopy or root zone should be investigated before buying land. I must add here a very common question asked by my clients, that what are site work and site cost allowance? There is more to building your dream home than just laying bricks and putting a roof. Before you even pour the slab, you will need to make sure the lot is ready to be built on, and that means site work. But what exactly are site works and how necessary they are? Site works include land clearing, leveling, and installing drainages. Building a house is more than just the walls and doors. You need to ensure the land itself is ready and able to support your home. To many of us, site work may seem like an unnecessary cost, but it is important for the safety of your new home. Trying to cut costs on site works can cause drastic problems with your property in just a few years of time. Your building contractor or builder will be able to tell you how they handle site works and the site cost through the contract process. And a site cost allowance is a rough estimate for the cost of site works on your land that a contractor or builder provides you at the start of the site works process. If there are any uncertainty about the block, it may be difficult to give you a fixed upfront cost. So an allowance is made in the builder's cost or the building cost to cover it. What does site works include? Site work includes all kind of land works that are not part of your house physical structure, like testing soil and finding wind load by an engineer, site clearing, detailed foundation design created by an engineer. Earthwork includes testing, preparations and compaction of foundation pad, preliminary drainage, sewer and septic work if any, bushfire attack like BAL assessment where applicable. Type of site works required will depend on the lot itself as well as the style of home you choose. For example, if you're choosing double-story homes will require stronger foundation and more extensive earthworks are required to stabilizing sloping block. If we talk about how much do site works cost in Australia, it depends on a multiple of factors unique to the block. So there is no such thing as average cost. On flat lots without any complex requirements, price starts at a minimum of around $12,000 to $13,000. Depends size of your parcel and even much more if reactive or clay soil needs to resolve, slope needs to fill. Also, the location of your site can affect site works as well. When you are building a home, you spend a longer time deciding what neighborhood you want to live in and what amenities you want to be near. But the location not only affect the construction cost but also can affect site works depending on if site is buffered by high or strong wind, distance from breaking surf, site on high water table, subject to noise attenuation requirements, means closer to freeway or highways, near to or within a bushfire zone. There are actually a number of things. To make sure you understand precisely what you're buying, there are more certain things to know so you can make the most of your block. Here are few more questions to consider asking agent who is selling the lot. Is there any easements on the block? You must be wondering now, what are easements, right? Easements create limitations of the use of land. Your building will need to maintain a certain distance from the easement. If your preferred floor plan is close to the easement, they may need to provide additional reinforcement to your structure. An easement is a legal ability to use someone else's land for a certain purpose. In many cases, a transferable easement is listed on a deed or title or any other legal document. It is disclosed when buying the property. The impact of easement on the property value will depend on the degree of interference permitted by the easement. So, it does affect property value. On the other hand, if the property is completely residential, easements do not affect property value in most cases. In many situations, the easements are along the edges of the land and are only for utility management. Some common easements are right-of-way easement, which is very common in subdividable properties. Right-of-way is a type of easement that allows someone to travel across another person's land to get somewhere else. It can be offered to one person, several people, or the public. This type of easement is attached to the property. Another common type is utility easements. These types gives utility companies the right to use a certain portion of the property. There are few other easements, so know where all easements are as well as what restrictions are associated with them before buying a property. Look over the title, commitment or preliminary title report before closing the deal. I know it's too much to understand or to get aware of, but it is what it is. Last few things not to ignore when selecting a block. Try to visit the land and inspect it accordingly. This helps you be sure whether that is the property you want and to experience the surrounding area. Understand state design guidelines. Specific design requirements often enforced in new communities. These guidelines are in a place to maintain a certain standard across the new development. They may dictate the type of material used or even what is considered an acceptable color scheme. Your builder or the land developer will be able to guide you accordingly. If you are purchasing a lot of land in an established area, make sure you review any potential overlays that may be on the property. An example is heritage overlay that may require you to maintain any existing structure and preserve the historical elements of the structure, which may limit your ability to rebuild on that lot of land. Budget accordingly. It is imperative to budget well for what you can afford. There is no need to settle on the budget. Buy what you can afford. Again, involve the support of a mortgage broker early on in the process so they can help you through this process. When you are buying land for your home, we have 4 tips for you. First, engage your builder early. The sooner you engage your builder in your efforts to purchase land, the better. It is critical if you want the right to build outcomes and to avoid limiting your build options. Second, future amenity. If you are buying in a new community, consult your builder or the land developer and gain an understanding of what is proposed for the local area. Third, budget. You may have found a perfect block of land in an ideal location, but it breaks the budget. If a larger developer developing your preferred location and they are offering a master plan community, for example, they are building the schools and shopping complexes, look at adjacent developments in that area. Often you can find great deals on the land which are next to the master plan community, but still gain from all the future amenity the master plan community will be offering. Fourth, try to visit the land and inspect it accordingly. This helps you be sure whether that is the property you want and to experience the surrounding area. However, there are consistent challenges and opportunities when it comes to perfect block that are worth being aware of to get great outcome. Now it's time to learn about land zonings. As we heard zoning word number of times, so what is zoning? Zoning refers to the regulation of land use and development. Zoning is a process through which communities decide what type of building and land uses are appropriate for the community. Zoning can be classified by its purpose. There are typically 5 types of residential zoning. First, residential. Second, mixed land use or service including residential. Third, semi-rural for hobby landowners. Fourth, special rural for agriculture or farming. Fifth, residential special rural for small agro or forest based home businesses. So don't restrict yourself to only certain types of block or zonings. You actually have wider options to choose from. If you need a big land for your hobbies or for workshop, make decision accordingly. At the last, obviously, different zoning has different title or registration. It's always good to understand different types of property titles in Australia. If you are buying land in a new community, it is likely construction hasn't started. Your land cannot be provided with the title by the local government until the developer completes it. Therefore, check when the title is likely to be granted with the developer. You can't start construction without the title. There are 4 most common types of title: green title, purple title, service starter title and strata title for residential or commercial blocks. Torrens title, which is green title only. When you buy land in Australia, the most common type of property type is Torrens title or freehold, because you are buying both the land and property or the land alone. Most residential and commercial properties in Australia fall under the Torrens title. The property belongs to the title owner. If there is still an existing mortgage, the financial institution will keep the certificate until the title owner is done with the mortgage. Further, there is a limited Torrens title. Some Torrens title property don't have proper boundaries since survey is yet to be performed, so fall under limited Torrens title. Then comes strata title. In a strata title property, owners only owns the unit inside but not the outside. These type of properties are usually apartments or townhouses. There are often common areas that are shared by every owner in the building, such as lift, garden, swimming pool, and other community facilities. Strata title property are often cheaper, but you will need to pay annual strata fees for the maintenance of the common area. Last but not the least, survey strata. Survey strata is the creation of lots that adjoin each other. This could be single or group dwellings with entitlement to a portion of the parent lot through a survey strata title. These lots may share common property such as driveways and also share utility connections. Most commonly, you can see these type of strata titles in a subdividable properties, and by saying find the right block of land that ticks all the boxes can be difficult. However, being well informed will set you in the right direction to making the best purchase possible. I would like to end this episode here. I hope you enjoyed this episode, how to select a block, and if you did, please leave us a review and do subscribe to listen my upcoming episode on a corner blog. Thank you so much for your interest and attention.